Hello YouTube, this is day 3 of Aruba. So I'm actually going to my massage appointment in a few, and I'm actually having a good time. Tomorrow we're doing excursions. I'm a little nervous about that because we're going to be underwater, and the lady was like, yeah, you don't have to know how to swim. It's just if you want to swim. I'm like, okay, I may or may not go underwater, y'all, because that just sounds frightening. But my son is going to do it. He been swimming since the age of 3. And that's one thing I wanted to say, like, encourage your kids to swim from an early age. And I'm glad I did that. His aunt actually showed him how to swim at the age of 3. And I put him in summer camps that they were swimming. So I think that's a plus to know how to swim, because you just never know what situation you're going to be in. Titanic, even though that's an extreme situation, but imagine, like, you just never know. It's just good to know how to swim. But really quickly, I wanted to talk about something I just saw. Luckily, I have Wi-Fi, and the panel discussion that we all watch on social media, they actually came to New York. Yandy was there, and damn, I forget their names. But the main dude that talks, he's light skinned, whatever, is Stephen Speaks, but he didn't come. But basically, they had the panel discussion, and a lady was like, she was with a dude for 5 years and never been to his house. So I wanted to quickly talk about that, because I just feel like with dumb people that do the panel discussion, they never really ask critical thinking questions. And I'm glad that I went to the schools that I went to, because you're not supposed to just, even though the person in front of you is speaking their side, you don't know that dude's side, right? And there's always logic to the madness. There's a reason why that man is not bringing you around his kids. There's a reason why you can't come to his house. And it's not always because of him. It could be because of you. If you come off a certain type of way, yes, it's his responsibility as a man and as an adult to let her know, like, hey, whatever. But a lot of these females are trifling. Let's keep it a buck. A lot of us have had friends that they paint these men as the villain, but really they the villain, right? So my question to her would be, well, has he been to your house? Probably not, because she was like, because they're older people. So she's like, he got a 25-year-old son, so he got to be at least in his late 40s, 50s. So they've been together 5 years, and she's never been to his house. But my question would be, are y'all even really together, or you're just assuming that y'all are together? Because that's a lot of women too. They assume, because TV has a lot to how we interact with each other, whether we want to admit it or not. So what do you see on TV programs and movies? You see a lot of, they go on a date, they have sex, and then suddenly they're in a relationship. Just because you're doing those things, that doesn't mean you're in a relationship. Another question I would ask her is, how do you know that y'all are together? Like, are you assuming that y'all are together, or did he actually say, you are my girlfriend? That's very important, because you can't just assume because y'all are doing all the couple stuff that y'all a couple, right? And then it's like, you have a daughter the same age. The way she was talking, she was like teenage, but that's the problem with our society too, is people treat their adult children like they still kids, and they're not. But I wanted to talk about how I had a friend who, she got her own place and stuff now. Her mom actually moved to Florida. But I remember when she was living with her mom and her brother, she said her mom, had a boyfriend. And I'm like, have you met the boyfriend? She's like, no, my mother would never bring no man over here. And the way she said it was like, not jealous, but kind of, some kids, they don't want the boyfriend to come over. So to keep the peace, the mother doesn't do that. So that might be the scenario. Like, maybe, with that guy, he's not bringing no girls to the house, because it's like, you have to understand, like, if people's parents was married before, or like with myself, I was in 2 previous relationships, so I'm gonna be hesitant in bringing the next dude around my son, because I don't want my son to think bad of me. I don't want him to think, oh, well, I'm just hopping on every dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's reasons why people don't bring, because your child is your child, even when they're an adult, and you don't want your child to think less of you because you're dating different people. And then they like, oh, she always with a different dude. I don't care what people think, but I do care what my son thinks. So coming from um, a single parent, and stuff like that, you have to be careful who you let around your kids, even when they're not kids. My son is 17, but obviously, like my original thing is I didn't want to let nobody around him until I was engaged, and I'm going back to that. If we're together consistently for 3 4 years, and I know, and we both know it's a serious relationship, and I know we're talking about marriage, then yes. But if it's like a casual, like my last relationship was very casual, like I didn't meet his daughters, and it bothered me because he was around my son every day. So you gotta be, even though his daughters were grown, that was the rule. Like, no, you cannot be around my daughters. And it hurt my feelings, but I'm glad he had a standard. Like, I should have had the same standard. So, that's what I wanted to say. Like, that's probably the same issue with, some people just don't want them. And like with me, the same thing. I met his whole family pretty much because I used to work with his brother. So I met his cousins and them way before I met him, you know. So, and while we were together, like they knew we was together and stuff like that. But his children were no. His children, your children are your most prized possession. And I get it. I totally get it. The dude was like, "Oh, he playing in your face and da da da." You know if you're in a real relationship or not. You would know, you know. And everybody's calling her delusional, and it's like it's not about being delusional. It's the fact that everybody has their own rules. And I just wanted to say that, like, don't feel that if your relationship is not like somebody else's, that it's not real, or your standards is your standards, right? Because just based upon what she said, I don't think she's letting a dude around her daughter either. And I would have asked her, like, has he been to your house? Has he met your daughter? Has he met your children? Probably not. So it's like, how you expect him to, and just in general, and I know that because what I've been through, and um, my friend, she was like, oh, her mom was in a relationship for at least a year or two with this guy. And I was like, oh, you never met him? She was like, no, my mother know better than that. That's what she said. She's like, oh, my mother's not going to do that. But yet her father had a girlfriend and they was fine with it. But to her, it was like, no, my mother cannot bring guys over here. Like, that was just her thing. Like, no, we don't want our mom to. She can have a boyfriend, we can't stop her, but she's not going to just bring guys over here. And the same for her. She wasn't bringing dudes at the house either. She wasn't in no relationship, so it was kind of, but like she was smart to not bring the dudes to the house because they weren't together. But her mom actually had like a relationship going, and. But yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, these social media people, whatever, and I'm a social media person too, and I said it in my previous video, like, don't let what someone says dictate your life. You have to live your life, and only you can live it. And those are my thoughts.